Satnam, hello.
Satnam.
Hi.
Hi, who's here?
Harinder.
Harinder and who?
Suzanne.
Oh, Suzanne. Well, glad to have you both. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Who else is here?
Satnam.
Satnam and? Sadna. Welcome. Oh, good. We have our foundation developing right here. Bless you all. Did anybody else come on? Okay, not yet. So how's it going?
Great.
That's a big question.
Yeah. How's the challenge with the heat?
Oh, Dallas has been fortunate. As hot as they can say it is, it's nothing like last year, so we're grateful.
Really? I'm so happy to hear that.
Not the same burn. It was so hot. My dogs wouldn't even walk last year.
Oh, my God.
Too hot for them.
Wow. It has been intense, like being under a broiler here. But it's nice today. Nice. So who else just came on?
Satnam, it's Onkar.
Hi, Onkar. Welcome.
Here.
And who else?
Hi, it's Sadakal.
Sadakal. I'm so happy to hear you're with us.
Thank you.
Yes, bless you, dear. And who else is here?
Haridas Kaur.
Hi, Haridas. How is it up there in, is it Minnesota where you are?
Yeah, just for a couple more weeks.
What do you mean a couple
very
more
hot.
weeks? Very hot?
We're moving back to Juneau.
No kidding.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
Well, how about that?
Yay.
You're happy. Are you still going to work with the Park Service?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Good. Well, I'm glad you're happy about it.
Yes.
Bless you. Who else is here?
Carol.
Hi, Carol. Welcome. Are you the one who said yay to Haridas moving back to Juneau?
No, I was not.
Oh, who is that one who yelled yay? Oh, maybe it was an echo. Who else is here? Lots of little bells. Who are you?
Rahmani and Tomas.
Welcome, Rahmani and Tomas. And who else?
Harimunder.
Hi, Harimunder. How are you?
Good.
Good. Okay, so being on your island is good, huh?
Yes.
Oh, good. Tell me the name of the island again.
Oh, it's not a real island. It's in Gustavus.
Oh, Gustavus. But it's near that bay where we always see the pictures of the glacier calving, yes?
With right adjacent to Glacier Bay, yeah.
Cool. Literally cool.
Yes.
Thank you, dear.
It's 48 degrees.
Oh, my God.
In July. Oh, well.
That's outrageous.
Yeah.
And who else is here?
Harai.
Harai, welcome, dear. It was
Thank
so good
you.
to see you at Solstice. That was fun.
It was great.
Yeah. And who else is here? Oh, there were so many bells. Who else is here? Okay. Well, let's get started. So, listen, I'm going to say this now before we get started, and if you could remind me to say it at the end, that would be helpful. Oh, I'm going to make two announcements. One is my first course in a very long curriculum called for learning Soul Answer Healing will begin this coming week. The first two levels are very good for all kinds of healing practices. This course is called The Reluctant Healer. So you can see that at soulanswer.com/reluctant_healer.html. And now here's another thing that we're doing. We're finding that, am I echoing or is there another noise on there?
Echoing, yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, so the other one is that we are going to, because of the amazing changes that most of us are going through due to these Aquarian energies, they're really pushing us to change, to leave aside the old ways that we've done things. We are doing a 40-day group meditation. So we're going to begin tomorrow, and it's a meditation of change. It's very simple but profound. And you can find it on the website at soulanswer.com/change.html. Again, that's soulanswer.com/change, CHANGE.html. So we will have a group effort and a group energy. It's a joining and a support and expanding of the energies together as we all hold hands and go through it together. Okay, so please sit straight. Palms are together. You can rub them together a bit and bring them together. Begin long, deep breathing from the belly through the nose. That's it. Sink into your third eye, into your soul at your third eye. And greet the infinite through the golden chain of teachers for protection and guidance. Inhale. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Long deep breath. Good. And now begin heart breath. That is continuing with long, deep breath from the belly through the nose, but on the exhale, feel as though the air is coming out of the heart center. Good. And now, please send your heart breath to all of those who gather together on these teletalks, whether they're here or not, whether they're in the future, listening to the recording. Please send heart breath. Please send heart breath and connect yourself as a web. Good. Increase that light, please. Continue the opening. And now send your beautiful healing heart breath to all of us, to all of this world community who is going through this change now, to elevate, to care for, to love, to support. Understanding that both personally and as a community, you participate in this healing light. Uplift. Good. Surrounding all, including yourselves, with this beautiful light that is being opened, transformed these days. Okay. So Baba Siri Chand says, please keep up your heart breath. He says, we have lots to talk about today. He says, and into the night. Okay, sir. He says you are not actually shedding the beauty of who you are as you go through transformation. In fact, you are opening and amalgamating who you are, what the lessons you have learned, as well as opening to the beautiful power, the kindness, the openness of who you are. He says there is no way to fully understand or appreciate the outrageous kindness that comes through you. He says if you could understand it, he says you may find that you may feel that it is bordering on the absurd. He says it is not absurd. He says pure kindness, pure open forgiveness to all is what is required. He says you do that to the point that all judgment, all anger is taken from you. He says that does not mean that you don't hold, he calls it potential boundaries. He says that does not mean that you don't put criminals in jail to keep them apart from those that they might harm. He says that is not what I'm talking about. He says he is talking about forgiveness on a scale that is beyond human understanding. Because we feel that judgment is important. Personal judgment for or against is a very important part of human life. He says he's asking that you let go judgment. He says, and rather move towards discernment. Discernment is listening to your soul, which you can hear, you might hear in your mind, you might feel in your body, you might see. He says, but discernment is different. Discernment is a message, knowing from your soul how to operate within the parameters of this time and space, limited consciousness that we have here on Earth. He says that is the way to navigate. He calls it through the portal. He says navigate through the portals of time and space. He says when you move your conflictions, your conflicts, he says when you move them into the realm of the divine, he says you get the pure story. And the pure story looks different. He says when you are living in that soul space. That soul space, that divinity, is a place that sees all and knows all. He says not that we in our human consciousness see and hear and know the whole picture. He says, but from the divine perspective, we understand our part. We play our role, however soul gives it to us. He says the difficult part for us is to give up judgment, to give up fear, because then we feel that we are not protected. He says fear is based in, judgment is based in fear. In other words, from experience, knowing what has hurt us, what has led us astray, what has kept us from our own divine purpose as we see it. He said, but oh my dears, he says, understand that it is pure humility, pure trust of the divine, of the soul, of the action of your great self within your everyday self that is the real cause. He says, and please let that cause come into effect. In other words, let it be the guiding force of your actions, your thoughts in this world. He says, as you trust it, as you move from the divine, as you forgive from the divine level, deeply, meditatively, that is when you lose the sight of your own short-sightedness, he says. He says your own short-sightedness comes from habitual reckonings, old experiences from the culture, from your ancestors, from your lifetimes. He says, and we have been taught how to reject and accept. He says, do you know that the whole planetary experience is based on learning how to accept? Accept what is real, accept what is right in front of your face, accept and sink into the real experience and the knowing of what is. He says on the planetary level, on the, he calls it the great God level, he says, how can you be in truth and not accept what is right in front of your eyes? He says that means accepting pain, accepting hurt, even accepting duality. Accept it. Sink into it. Understand it. He says, as you do that, you can then move into the humility and the great power of the consciousness of reality. He says, and then follow your direction from your own divinity. He says, start by accepting who you are as your own divinity. He says, you know, you are all on this path of union. He says, we are all coming to grips with the fact that we are the divine, we are the infinite, we are the all-knowing that is living this extraordinary experience in time and space, and have been doing so for many lifetimes. He says, of course, in the divine there is no time, so it is all happening in the great present. He says, but in our illusion of time and space, which soul has taken to itself to express as us, he says, we live that dilemma. He says, and nowadays we are coming back to full union, full understanding of what that means. He says, letting go of our judgments that are based in our fears, he says, is the key. When you do that, you live in reality of the present. You accept the pain, you accept the object of the fear, and in that way, he says, you come to grips in your own divinity, your central focus. He says, the greatness, the plan from above, you might call it. That way you become, he says, you might call it, you become a soldier of the divine. In other words, taking the lead, taking the information from your own divine, infinite self, trusting it, even going beyond the act of trusting it, and simply following it, simply doing it, amalgamating yourself, being one with it, being in what is called that purity of heart. That purity of heart simply means that we do not fight with the divine anymore. We simply embrace it. As we do that, as we let go, as we accept the planetary vision, in other words, what appears to be happening in the very moment, without judgment, he's not saying to give up all of your experience, but to give up the judgment from that experience. He says, let your experience lead you to total compassion. And your total compassion comes from the realization that we have all been the aggressors. We have all been the hated person. We have all been what this girl calls a poopy head, the one without realization, the one without knowledge. He said it is a very important part of the path. He says you can see now those that you see, that you hold in neutrality, to understand that they are breaking up, that they are pushing the boundaries of social communication to the point that this social contract, this infinity based in reality, as you know it, he says, are pushing it to past the limits in which it will fall apart. You understand that this is the Shiva principle, and you are grateful to it. Even though what you feel is that so many will be lost and so many will be hurt. As you continue on this path of commotion to devotion, you will understand that you have all been through this. You are all transforming through this. You have all been the receiver of this being kicked in the gut as well. You've been the kicker and the receiver. He says the transformation, he calls the transformation is lily white. In other words, it is the light of consciousness. It is the light of transformation. that the soul opted for when it took on these bodies and minds and egos. This is the adventure that soul has opted for as you, as this rediscoverer of light. He says it's important that you first lose it, which you have done, that you forgive it and heal it, that you receive it and heal it, and that you come to pure forgiveness and neutrality. Neutrality, understanding that all is the will of God, as you would say. All is God. Nothing is left out. Everything has its purpose. Everything has its purpose. And you grant it respect. You grant it respect for that. He says, as you see things in this lifetime, he says what you're seeing is actually taking out the whole visage, the whole progress of a person on their journey over lifetimes. He says when you only regard it in this particular time and space, he says you are taking it out of context. He says, do you understand what it means to take it out of context? He says, as your soul, as your being, as your consciousness over so many lifetimes has played so many roles, of being the giver, being the receiver, healing, coming to the healing point. He said, if you could see that, if you could understand that, you would understand that the stories that unfold in this particular lifetime, in this particular moment, he says those events, he says you were looking at with a microscopic eye. He says please have the humility and the knowledge and the respect that what you see being played out before you, both in others and in your own lifetime, is only a snippet of the full picture. He said it is not the overarching picture, not the overarching action. He says, please have humility to that understanding. That is where neutrality comes in. That is where shunya comes in. To live in the magnificence of neutrality, of expansion, of humility to the realization that all is God, all is your soul. He says, having this incredible experience in the amusement park of lifetimes. Your soul is pure wisdom. It is brief in its directions to you. It is profound. It is cozy in its directions to you. And it will stand back until you are ready to listen. It will stand back and it will respect the course that you choose. That is your free will. You have heard of free will. You have the absolute objective truth of your own free will. He says, and yet when you come out of fighting mind, judging mind, when you come into shunya, when you come into acceptance and respect and humility for this conscious path, this direction from the divine, then you understand that all is God and you live in the favor, you live in the gratitude of coming from soul at every moment. He says that is what this energy is pushing you to. If you have any objection to that, whether conscious or unconscious, whether you have any ingrained habits that keep you in the judgment mode, that keep you in the separation mode, they can be very simple little habits. He says you will be pushed beyond those limits in this time. When you are pushed beyond those limits, you may experience pain. You may experience regret or grief. He says to ease that pain, to ease that experience, accept the reality. Accept the reality of the moment. And the reality of this moment in this Aquarian transition is that you live in neutrality. You accept the pain, you accept the transformation, and you accept the guidance that comes to you. That can only come when you humble yourself out of judgment. That can only come when you have humility to the whole huge picture that flows through time and space, that flows through lifetimes, that flows through ancestors, understanding that all has a purpose. All has a purpose. You may experience it in this minute section as whims of soul. But soul has a purpose in its picking out the karmas of the lifetime, how it wants to move through these lifetimes. So instead of trying to thwart it for what you imagine is your own happiness, your own support, your own access to love and acceptance, he said instead of keeping yourselves in that imagination and fumbling and falling and banging on the door of infinity, when in fact it is always open, instead of doing that, he says, fall in the humility of accepting reality. Again, fall into the humility of accepting reality. He says, please do that now. He says, find something in your life that may be giving you grief, may be giving you torment. You may be judging others, including the other, quote, the other political party. You may be in grief about the difficulties a loved one is having. He says there is no judgment. There is only compassion and understanding and living in the present. He says, and if need be, discerning from soul what the boundaries are that will promote both you and the other person, understanding who they are, who you are, as oneness. These, what we call boundaries, he says, are the guidelines, the structure of integrity. He says, but please let them come from soul. Please let them come from soul. And in doing that, when the boundaries come from soul, you may find that you actually need to let go of your own fears to accept the boundaries that soul gives. Okay, please let an incident or a feeling or a time in your own lifetime to come up now. Maybe it's an old habit. Maybe it's a judgment. Maybe it's confusion of how to go, where to go, and how to handle the situation. Using your heart breath. He says, now please accept the reality of it. Move out of fighting mind into accepting and being purely present with the reality of the fear, of the grief, of the pain, whatever it is. How does it affect you? Please accept it. This is the reality of the God in all. There is no judgment again whether it is good or bad. It is simply acceptance in pure neutrality that this is what is happening. He said, let that acceptance ease out your insecurities, your fears. Let that acceptance ease out your insecurities and fears. Knowing who you are. Knowing who you are. You are your soul. Allowing your soul to come forward now. Allowing your divinity, the God of who you are, the infinite consciousness, to come down to your everyday consciousness in its most cozy, aware, protective, loving essence, which is your soul. Allow yourself to sink into the experience of the soul. Finding your blessing. Finding your blessing. Understanding the blessing of who you are. Allowing that to permeate any separation that remains. Allowing forgiving on the deepest level. On the deepest level. To dissolve the ties to that pain, to that separation, to that duality. Allowing it to be. And now allowing yourself to hear, to understand, to know the communication from soul, to know the solution, to know the reality, to know the aspects. Whether it's another person, to know lifetimes, to know the family details, the family karmas, to understand them. To understand how these ingredients are all working together for a purpose, no matter how dire or difficult they may be. They have their purpose. And now, please allow yourself to hear, feel, know from soul your part in all of this. What appears to be you as a separate being, but now understand your collected consciousness, your, consciousness of joined community, expressing itself as the individual. What is your role? What is the purpose of all of this in your whole life, and what direction are you headed in your transformation, in your healing? What direction are you headed in this aspect of your transformation? Transformation to gain all experiences, to transform all experiences, to the oneness. Such an intricate background of karmas, of what we would call lights and darks, all mixing together, all coming to the oneness of the experience of the divinity here in this limited consciousness, in this time and space. What a marvelous progression it is. Understand your role. Understand your peace. Allow the peace of understanding your role in this monumental development through time and space. Understand how it benefits your opening to your self-knowledge, your knowledge of self, in infinite self, projecting itself as the limited, or what has been the more limited consciousness of the everyday self. Know that. And be grateful. Be grateful for this most extraordinary path. Be grateful for this most extraordinary path. Good. And wrap yourself into the conscious experience of soul as yourself. Wrap yourself in that consciousness. Know who you are. Know this destiny that flows through you. And accept the reality of who you are. Accept the reality of who you are. Good. And bring that reality right into this earth awareness, this consciousness, this amalgamation, this oneness of who you are, and being able to express right here, together. He says, because, dear ones, now is the time to kindly embrace one another as each one relates their own experience. And as each one does, not only is does that person acknowledge and transform and express in this everyday world their own healing experience, but they also serve to heal us with that experience. So he says, who will be the first one to share their experience? Who can do that? Who can step forward? Who can be the first one?
Oh, I think it's me, Siri Gian. It's Suzanne.
Suzanne?
Yeah.
Yes, dear.
I guess what I'm getting is I am in the process of removing the blocks. I don't know all those blocks. Feel that in order to get to what you talk about, I have to clear.
Can you love the blocks? As we used to say in Aikido, you love them down.
Okay, well, that's a nice way to put it. I'll do that.
Instead of fighting with yourself, just offer them ease and acceptance. That's the reality.
Well, the uncomfortableness that has come through for me, the sadness, the grief is what it was, grief, would be for someone else. And that's how I'm understanding how to move through the blocks, because the information that they need was given to me. And so I can share it with them. I don't know exactly how that happens, but I do know that somehow I'm in that position to where it's more of helpfulness or guidance, and less doesn't help to feel sorry for it, but to that's the move through it part. And
wonderful.
so I guess if I,
Wonderful.
Hard to put that
and
in
you
words.
wait for soul to give you the opening.
Yeah, I think so.
And it will present itself, and you can feel it. You know it, and you recognize it. This is the opening. And then you kindly, humbly, or whatever vehicle that comes through you, you give that information, you give that guidance, you give that compassion. Well, you know that, but not as the seer from on high. You just express it how it comes through you.
Right. Exactly. In that humbleness, yes.
Sometimes you may need to yell, but soul will give you the clue. Okay?
Does seem counterproductive there, but I will listen.
Okay, good. Okay, so now what Suzanne just talked about, can you keep up your heart breath? And if you've been keeping up with our Facebook group, or if you have heard a number of these calls, you understand that this lovely young lady named Meta is still in the in-between state, in a coma, and you can imagine what her family is going through. So with that, will you all please keep up your heart breath? Create the most neutral, the most receptive space to hold all of them. Just do that now. And of course, 3 members of the family are regular members of our tribe. That is Guru Ravi, Ranjit Kaur, and Hargobind Singh. And then hold Meta's mother, Sarab Shakti. Hold them all in this beautiful heart breath. The acceptance of reality, which is constant love. Do that now, please. Allow movement. Allow fresh air to breathe, to move through this very challenged family. Good. And please keep that up. Please keep it up. Okay, and who else can share their experience from today?
I'll share. This is Sata Call.
Hi, dear.
Hi.
I'm so glad you're sharing.
Well, I do have a great deal of trouble accepting my reality. As you know, I have multiple sclerosis.
Yes, dear.
What I observe is my physical body, just kind of dwindling away on me, and my mind is following suit.
In what way is she following suit?
Oh, I'm just losing it. I feel very depressed, and I go through extremes of emotion, and I just have one moment I can come close to maybe beginning to accept the reality, and then other moments I just fight and am angry, and I feel ashamed that I act like just a stupid little kid. And
please, from our perspective, you're not acting as a stupid little kid.
Well, I would just like to be more graceful of things, and I just want to get to the other side of things.
And what is the other side?
Well, I just don't know. I really don't know. I mean,
I think that's it, dear. I think you just put your finger on it. It's what we call the unknown. So, living in soul is living in the unknown. And certainly we all have compassion for what you're going through. None of us know how we would react to this. None of us would know. So we fully accept your anger and your grief, dear. We fully accept it. And we send you love, and we are sending you heart breath now as a cradle as you move through this.
Thank you.
Yes. So God bless you, dear. You are the warrior that comes before. And certainly this is a disorder of the nervous system, so the nervous system can play all kinds of tricks on you. So also in that regard, I would suggest that you not take it personally. The depression, the anger, and so on. Don't take it personally.
That's hard.
Yeah, I know. And God bless you for sharing this with us, because it gives us pause. Gives us pause about the hero's path that you're following. Also Meta's family. That is the hero's path. It is experiencing extreme challenges. So God bless you, dear. Our heart breath, our healing energy, the experience of this neutrality, we are sharing it with you.
Well, God bless you all, and God bless Meta and Meta's family.
Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you. God is good.
Yes.
God sent me you all.
Thank you, dear. Thank you. Okay, who else would like to share? Who else would like to share? Your sharing can be light. It can. Don't worry if it sounds frivolous. That's okay. We're all here with you. It's human.
I can share.
Yes, who is this?
This is Carol.
Yes, Carol.
Well, I was thinking about a situation at one of the places where I work, and the program I work for having less funding all the time, so losing staff and losing parts of programs and losing offices for staff. And my supervisor has been trying to get my office mate and I, who get along fairly well, we get along really well, she keeps trying to get us to separate and share offices with the people that don't do so well. They can't keep their, they're younger, they don't focus on their work like we do at our age, and so on and so forth. And today I was thinking about that situation of what she keeps trying to do to break us up, and I realized that she was trying to pull us apart a little bit so that we would be more open and unattached to accepting the other people, staff who work in our program, so that we could form a more cohesive group. That was her wish that we would do. Of course, we fought it tooth and nail, and we did not end up separating and moving into different offices. But I liked the insight of where she might be at with that.
Oh, how wonderful. Good for you. And what happens when you get that insight?
It makes me feel relaxed, and it also makes me see that she does have great vision. My supervisor has great vision of how to keep us all working well.
Wonderful.
She's pretty good at it.
And do you suppose that she may be asking the more experienced and focused ones to be sort of the living examples or teachers for the ones who are not quite there yet?
Yes, I can see that she's trying to do that.
So what does Soul say? Are you going to share that insight with your peers?
I think I might. Well, I know I can share it with my office mate and my supervisor. I'm not sure I should share it with everyone, because I think I would fear that they might feel like I was drawing a line between how they work and how I work, and that would make more separation. Right now we get along pretty good, so I just kind of like to feed them positive energy whenever I can, and then just let the rest slide.
Okay. And that's where Soul is leading you, yes?
Yes.
It comes out from pure practical experience and living in the moment and letting it all fall as Soul wants it to fall. Is that what you're saying? Carol?
I think so. I just see that I just want to do my best to do what will elevate the group, what will all keep us inspired and working.
How wonderful. Well, God bless you, dear, and thank you very much for that. We appreciate it.
God bless you all.
Thank you. Okay, so now we have come to the end of our time. He says, but our time is infinite. Okay, sir. And just reminding you again about the 40-day meditation that the Soul Answer Tribe is going to begin on tomorrow, called Meditation for Change, so that we can move more easily and gracefully into these new energies. And that meditation is at soulanswer.com/change, CHANGE.HTML. So, is Kay here? Okay, so here we go. Please sit straight and sing this beautiful song lovingly to each other and to all those who need it, especially to Sadakal and Meta's family and her. Okay, so inhale. May the long time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on, guide your way on, guide your way on. Inhale. Sad now. And bow to the beauty, bow to the essence, bow to the gorgeousness of who you are. Bless you all. Talk to you next week. Sad nam. Bye-bye.
Bye.